Thank you, Nick. All right, this morning we're going to talk about my new stress reduction and overwhelm elimination protocol. I've been putting this together based on the principles of neurolinguistic programming, which is the study of subjective experience. So June is an executive. She's uptight. She's always feeling like she's got rushed and she doesn't have enough time to get things done. And so I asked her, well, how in the world do you do that? And so with some further questioning, it turns out that the structure of overwhelm is to simply imagine all the things that the person needs to do simultaneously. So think about everything you've got to do in the next 5 days and put them all on the same mental screen or describe them all to yourself at once, and it's too much. It's like eating a rhinoceros. We do things one bite at a time. If you think about increasing your revenue by 20% for next year, that's a big chunk. If you think about all the steps that you need to take in order, that's a lot more doable. And so one of the ways people procrastinate is by overwhelming themselves by thinking about it all at once rather than step by step by step. And what they do in their minds is essentially make a big screen with all of those things simultaneously represented. I got to do all of that. That is overwhelming. So the solution is to change the picture or change the way they structure that thought so that they may know they've got all of those things to do, but they can put them in order of priority or they can put them in order of time. So this morning, my priority after Power Core is to drive to my office where I'm having a meeting with somebody relating to my merchant services machine. Okay. And then I've got a client later on during the day. If I think about trying to do all of that at once, it can be overwhelming. And that overwhelm is stressful. So what I had June do was take her pictures and put them in order, one after the other, after the other, after the other, so that they made a line off to one side. And this is all relating to time. So one of the things about the way that overwhelm happens is that we think about everything all at once versus everything in bits and pieces through time. In neurolinguistic programming, they have developed a model called timeline. So how do we know what time things are going to be happening? People will say, well, let's look ahead to next year. That's telling me that their future is ahead of them. Let's put that behind us. Their future, their past is behind them. Let's set that aside and focus on what we're doing right now. Where's their future? It's over here. And if we take all of those different activities, those things that we need to get done, and put them on our timeline, let's say it's in front of me for sake of discussion, and put them in order so that I see my client appointment is at 1 o'clock. So that's out further in the future than my 11 o'clock appointment with the merchant services person, which is further out in the future than meeting with one of my team members here this morning after the meeting. And that seems perfectly doable. Another thing that people will do to cause themselves to be anxious about time and not having enough time to get things done is the structure of the timeline itself. I asked June, okay, so how far out ahead of you on your timeline is 10 minutes? It's right here, like less than a foot out in front of her. And I had her push it out like a couple of feet, and I said, how about that? She felt a lot better. If 10 minutes is really close, then it seems like time is compressed. And so we can extend that time so that we can be relaxed about it. It's still 10 minutes. And if we structure things such that the most important things for us to be doing at the moment is coming right into the center of the timeline, and that's what we put our attention into, The next thing we have to do would be a little off to the side, and then further out in time and lesser priority are the things we're going to be doing later in the day or the week or the month. And as those priorities come to be most important, as those activities become the most important event, then they come into the center. And just doing that mechanically allows the person to be a lot more relaxed. And of course, it's easy to rearrange priorities depending on circumstances that are changing in our lives. We may have to do something sooner or later depending on our current life circumstances. However, we can rearrange things on the timeline so that it stays very orderly, which allows the person to relax and get things done, like eating the rhinoceros one bite at a time. Okay, so the way this is done is through an indirect, informal hypnosis. We can literally, once we notice the way we're structuring our time, we can literally manipulate it consciously and then lock those changes in place. The locking is a metaphorical, the click is a metaphorical locking something in place so that the person will keep it that way unless and until they decide to change it consciously. One of the things I want to emphasize here is that I'm working with stress reduction with these people. For our massage therapist who's working with releasing the physical tension, what I'm doing is complementary. With our life coach who helps people get their priorities in order, balance their lives between work and family and play, it's complementary. So that we work together, we can work together as a team to help somebody get more relaxed, be more efficient in using their time, and enjoy their lives in a much more balanced way. I'm Wesley Anderson. I'm a doctor of clinical hypnotherapy.